Hey guys, welcome to today's video where the discussion will be on whether genetics play a role in social anxiety. And my opinion is that genetics do play a big role in whether you come to develop social anxiety in your life. Speaking from my own experience, I am a highly sensitive person. There's a good book by Elaine Aron. She wrote the book called The Highly Sensitive Person. And I believe it's probably applicable for many people with social anxiety in more severe and chronic cases. They are probably genetically a highly sensitive person, like myself. And what that means in simple terms is just like the environment and people have a bigger effect on your body, on your nervous system. You're more sensitive to stimulus, loud noises, sights, sounds, large crowds, when a lot of people are looking at you and you're the center of attention. If you're a highly sensitive person, all of these things can be very activating to your nervous system because your brain is basically wired different. And I'd really recommend you guys read the book, The Highly Sensitive Person, if this sounds like you. If you see, if for your whole life you've kind of felt you're different and different than other people. Maybe people have called you really sensitive growing up and they've used insults and such like that. It's really helpful to understand if you are that type of person, a genetically sensitive person, how this can factor into something like social anxiety and you developing social anxiety. Because if you're a highly sensitive person, then and life has this bigger impact, this bigger effect on you, then essentially what that means is that you are more susceptible, you're more vulnerable to being traumatized and overwhelmed by events in life. And even small situations where you think, surely that didn't traumatize me, even those situations in life, if you're a highly sensitive person, those can have a negative and adverse effect on your nervous system. And what can happen is that experience can get trapped inside your body, inside your nervous system, because it had an overwhelming effect. And at that time, when you were overwhelmed or hurt or defeated in some way, it can get trapped inside your body because of your thin skin and the fact that your high sensitivity makes you more likely to get overwhelmed. So this can definitely lead to, if you're a highly sensitive person, this can definitely lead to developing social anxiety, because over time, as you have all these experiences in life, maybe you got bullied, or maybe you were emotionally neglected or abused by your caretakers, whatever it may be, all these experiences in life affected you and your body differently than it did other people who might not have been highly sensitive. So for example, I have three brothers, and I can definitely see that they were all not highly sensitive. Me, I feel like I am different than them on like a genetic level, because after reading the book The Highly Sensitive Person, I can see how my experience of life and being a highly sensitive person, I can see how that shaped me, and how being highly sensitive it made me more susceptible to developing social anxiety because of the way experiences, mainly early on in life, how those experiences affected me in a different way to my sensitive nervous system. Just times when there's so many situations, if you are a highly sensitive person, where, like I said, you may not think it has a traumatizing effect, but when you're highly sensitive, it can really cut deep, and you have less of a barrier to outside stimulus. So when someone does emotionally hurt you or abuse you, or even if you just, it's self-inflicted, you, let's say you embarrass yourself, or you do something humiliating in public. Maybe you trip over your words while ordering your food, or at your job you say something stupid and everybody looks at you weird. These types of experiences, when you feel this activation in your body, in your chest, like it's, especially when you feel shame, like ashamed by what you did, these experiences can really shape us in a profound way as highly sensitive people. So I would really recommend that you read this book, because it will help you understand if that does seem like you and you feel like you may be a highly sensitive person. This can really help you to understand your own personality, your own, how genetics may be playing a role in your social anxiety. I don't believe being a highly sensitive person automatically means you'll develop social anxiety. I think genetics plays a role in it, but it only makes you more vulnerable. If you're a sensitive type, a sensitive personality, you naturally have thin skin, you're an empath, and you really feel other people's emotions, you take on their emotion like it's your own, then essentially it makes you more likely to pick up on trauma and negative experiences. And these negative experiences, because our nervous system is sensitive and we don't have like thick skin compared to normal people who are not highly sensitive, who are just average sensitive, we can take on experiences and they get trapped inside our body a lot easier. And I think for me, I know this has been the big thing for me, realizing that so many of the experiences early on in life that I had are really what caused me to develop social anxiety at the age of 13 and all through my 20s. This was like the main thing. Being highly sensitive, I don't believe by itself caused me to be socially anxious, but it meant that all those hurtful experiences in life, even stuff like, even if you think you had like a really good childhood and your parents were fine, like if you're a highly sensitive person, these things small things can affect you in a really negative way, where you internalize shame about yourself and different emotions get trapped in your body. And this is what I believe makes us socially anxious, is we have a previous history early on in life. We have traumatizing and negative experiences, which because as highly sensitive people, we take on this trauma easier and things get stuck inside us easier. And this starts to come out later in our life. If you're someone like me who started developing social anxiety at around age 13, this stuff starts to come out as you become more independent and you have more pressure on yourself. There's a really good quote, I can't remember it exactly, but it's something like, pressure on you will make what is inside of you come out. So if you carry all this trauma inside, and then you're also now going out into the world as a teenager, as an adult, you're trying to form an identity, you're trying to find your place in the world. There's this natural stress and pressure to fit in and to be a part of things and to grow up and become an adult. All of these things, this pressure, this outside pressure, can really start to make things that live inside of us start to surface and come out. And that's the big realization for me, is that a lot of my social anxiety was from this outside pressure causing things inside from my past to start to come up. And the anxiety that I felt around people was not from the people or the event around me, the outer situation. It was from an internal response I was having to past wounds and traumas that were coming up from this situation. So the outside situation was only the trigger to bring up this internal pain that I had carried from my past inside me. And that's why I believe at around the age of 13, when I was starting to hit puberty, when I was going through this transition from child to adolescent, there was this pressure now to become more independent, to be an adult. And that's when I believe old traumas from childhood started to really play up in my interactions with people. And so, just to wrap this video up, I think social anxiety is definitely part genetics and it's part learned from your experiences. I don't believe genetics is purely responsible for social anxiety. I believe it plays a big part in making you more vulnerable to trauma, and then trauma can really start to make you become a severely anxious person and drive you to start to avoid social interactions, and that of course feeds anxiety. So I hope that helps you guys. Check out the book The Highly Sensitive Person if that sounds like you, and just kind of think about the relationship between your innate biology and kind of the past you've had and how that has factored into the person you are now. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.